Good day. My name's Earl Eidem and I'm a member of the Hub City Turners, a turning club in Saskatoon. I've been interested in canes for a number of years and thought I would show you just some of my collection. Some I've made, some I've purchased. This cane I purchased as a result of a mishap on the ski slopes, and it came out of a pharmacy in Banff. And I had to use it for several days. As a result of having a bad back, I started becoming interested in canes. Before I had a lathe, I made a cane out of flat stock. I had no idea that I was going to buy a lathe, but I knew I wanted to make a cane. This is it. I've had this cane for many, many years, 20 years plus probably. This cane I purchased in Mexico. It's a unique cane, and it brings me to describing the second reason that people have canes. So going back to, I know for sure in the Elizabethan period, people had canes for defensive purposes. The gentleman would always have a cane, and they would use the cane to support a poor leg, but also for defensive purposes. And the place that I purchased this cane in Mexico was selling defensive means. And this shows a stainless steel knife blade that is easily removed from the cane itself, and certainly would be a defensive mechanism. It's pretty quick. It keeps your attacker away. This cane came from Egypt. It's heavy wood, obviously turned, and the unique thing about this cane is the decoration. All of these silver pieces, which are inserted in a pattern throughout the length of the cane, are silver pieces of silver rod. So it's the cane has been drilled, the rod inserted, and then sanded and polished. Very unique, and obviously inexpensive labor helps make this cane. I made this cane probably 3 weeks ago out of maple, and it's two-piece, although it's permanently glued together. The tip and the handle are Lee Valley stock, so it's made for me. I was recently talking to my sister, and she said that she now requires a cane, and she showed me a commercial cane that she had purchased. And I thought, oh, we can do better than that. So I made her this cane. It's maple, and I don't know what wood. The wood was just out of my collection. And the handle I had made from a previous glue-up that I had for a rolling pin, and I've made it to her height. Because of the many pieces and the requirement for strength throughout, and knowing that a simple glue joint wouldn't hold it, I've put ready rod throughout the length. In regard to canes and staffs and defensive means, I purchased these two handles or tops in South Africa when I was there a number of years ago, and they're solid. They've been coated with silver, and they're really meant for defensive canes. They both weigh approximately 2 pounds, or certainly 2 pounds. This elephant is meant for a staff. It's much heavier, and it's meant to be held up in a staff. But you don't purchase a staff like this because you want to walk around with something heavy. It's really meant for defense. Likewise, this cane handle. It's comfortable, but it's likewise meant for defense. Where this cane handle is meant to hang on your arm when you're shopping. So yes, you're picking something up off a grocery shelf perhaps, But you never want to take a step without your cane, but you don't want to forget it either. So just hang it on your arm. And that's why the handle has the hook in it. So now let's go into the shop where we'll make a cane. Welcome to my small shop. As mentioned before, we're going to make a cane, and I've got two pieces. I have to make a cane in two pieces because the bed of my lathe isn't long enough to make a single cane, or a single piece cane. And then we thought we would make a handle. So I've got pieces of the same wood that I'll glue up and we'll make a handle with it. In order to determine cane length, there's a couple of methods. Some people say just take half your height, and that might work. Other people say take it to your wrist. Wherever your wrist falls, measure that. And I think they're both, oddly enough, they work out to be about the same. In my case, my measurement is 35 inches. First thing we do is round this out in order to use the steady rest, because the next step is to drill it for that coupler, and it's 7/16 in diameter. The finished cane diameter is going to be 1 inch on the top. So I'm going to set my calipers for 1 1/16, and then we'll bring it down to 1/16 and finish it from there. So one of the things you have to be concerned about with this length of wood, you don't want to turn it too fast or it'll whip, and therefore it'll never become concentric all the way down. So your lathe speed can't be too fast. But on the other hand, it's got to make a smooth cut. So that's a challenge. And so now what we're going to do is use a parting tool to bring this piece right here to 1 1/16. And I'll do that in several places along here just to give me a guide, and then we'll reduce the diameter even further. I see that even at this slow speed, the wood is quite jumpy, and I'm not able to get a nice smooth surface. So I'm going to use the steady rest, and in order to do that, I'm going to just smooth the wheels of the steady rest run true. So in order to drive this spindle, I've got to change it from a center to a chuck. So now that we've got the steady rest in place, I can drill the hole on the outboard end. So as mentioned, we're going to insert 1/2 of the joiner, the coupler, into this wood. And it's 7/16 inch diameter. And I'm going to drill a pilot hole first and then go to the full 7/16. We're going to have to cut the cane ends off, the wood off, in order to get the right length. And so we're going to have to drill this hole deeper. This is the end of the cane. We're going to have to drill all the way through to here in order to accommodate the length of this joiner piece. So we've once again reversed the wood in the chuck. This is going to be the top part, the part that goes into the cane handle, and we have to drill a hole through the part that we're going to cut off in order to put a piece of ready rod or a bolt into this wood. Now we're going to part off the joiner end. And when I part this off, I try to make the cane end concave. Here, I want only the outer rim to touch, which the joining part, and that allows some more space for glue. I'm just going to trim that up. When we join two pieces, and because drilling might not make it concentric, exactly concentric, I'm going to leave the very end of this piece oversized so I can sand it down in case the two pieces are slightly out of alignment. And now that we've made the first cut to length, I'm going to bring the rest of this top part of the cane down to size. So we said we wanted the OD of the cane to be 1 inch, so I'm now going to reset these calipers to 1 inch. Okay, now we've reset it so that the tool rest is on the other side of the steady rest, and now my job is to bring it down to size, the long piece, and then we'll sand it, and then we'll cut it to length. So now, after I've sanded this to 400 grit, we're going to sand this is the joiner end, so this is the middle of the cane right here. I'm going to bring it down to 400 also, just to show you how I do that. And I sand at about 500 RPM typically. I'm starting with 120. $180. Normally I'd have my vacuum on, but for the sake of the camera, we're not doing that. And that does that. So now we're at finished grit and finished diameter. Now we have to make a handle. So this was the overall length required, but we have to reduce that overall length by the width of the handle. So I've cut a couple of pieces of this oak. It's from the same piece as the cane itself. And I've made it 6 inches because my hand is approximately 5 inches. Thought we'd make it a little longer, both at the front and at the back. I've decided that this is the 1 inch. This is the point that's going to be contacting cane itself. So now we have to draw a gentle curve. And now I use a French curve, and the French curve, better than my hand at making something smooth. I will laminate it and then we'll take it to the bandsaw. So now we're going to cut the cane to length. And that finishes the top of it. Now I've mounted the lower segment of the cane. This portion of the cane tapers from a 1-inch diameter at the joining section to a 3/4 inch diameter at the bottom of the cane. So I have to determine that gentle slope. And we do that simply with a pair of calipers and measuring tape. We've got 1 inch minus 3/4 of an inch equals 1/4 of an inch. And he draws a half. 1/4 of an inch. So between here and here, we need a 1/4 inch taper. So halfway down, 8.5 inches is going to be 7/8, half of the 1/4. So that's 7/8. This will be 15/16, and right in here, approximately, will be 13/16. And that's how we figured it out. So I've just made a nice smooth spot here, that's the right diameter, in order to put my steady rest back on. But first of all, we have to drill a hole in this end. And in order to do that, we have to reverse it, put it in a different chuck. This is the coupler end, and we have to have a 7/16 diameter hole about 1 inch long in here. So I've just made a nice smooth spot here, that's the right diameter, in order to put my steady rest back on. So now that we've drilled that hole to receive the joiner, I'm going to continue tapering on a long spindle, particularly one that's tapered. I usually sand with a board under my sandpaper so that it takes the high spots out. And so that'll make it a much smoother piece than if I just hold the sandpaper like this. Through the magic of time travel, I have designed it, cut it out on the bandsaw, and done a little shaping already. But the rest of it, I'm going to show some shaping on this sanding. So now we're going to cut the end off here, then shape the end to the internal shape of this taper. So now we're going to shape the end to meet the taper of the inside of the cane tip. So now that we have the cane tip in place, we can measure this piece for the final measurement, and I need 18 inches. We've already drilled this to accept the joiner. So now we have this at 1 inch. It's just slightly proud of 1 inch so that it'll meet the other part of the cane. So now we're just going to glue the handle on. We've got the holes drilled and we've got the, I've made a little interim piece. Now that we've got this last piece together, I'll finish it off camera, and then we'll come back and show you the finished piece once it's completely done. Thank you. Good day, everyone. Since our last visit, I have finished the cane. I dyed it with a black and a red dye, giving me somewhat of a purple sheen to it, and I've also put an oil finish on it. Don't forget that we have the cane so that it comes apart, made for easy transport, putting it in as luggage or in an airplane, and we've also got the highlighting of the red fiber product in the handle, and that's why we have the cane colored the way it is. And that's how I make a cane.